hate speech bills, digital ID, two-tier justice system. And it really does feel like we're at that sort of powder keg moment. It feels like we are 1 inch away from something going crazy. So what's the difference between Ricky Jones and Lucy Connolly? I think everybody's landing in the same place in terms of understanding that, yes, this is on purpose. We the people are being antagonized at this stage, and they're just going to use whatever the reaction is to implement even more totalitarianism. Before we get into it, if you can do me a favor, if you can like the video, subscribe and comment and all that sort of good stuff, helps push out the video a little bit more. Also, there's links in my bio to alternative platforms. You can go follow me over there. We've actually started to gain a bit of ground over there in the last week, and we're getting some decent numbers. So that's awesome as well. So if you can help me out with that, I'd love it. Cheers. Two-tier justice is out of control. Fury as Labour councillor who called for Southport protesters' throats to be cut is cleared of encouraging violent disorder. I know this happened on Friday and it's old news and people have had their say on it, but as the dust starts to settle, you really are just left thinking, okay, what is that about? How much more of this can we take? And it begs the question, right? Lucy Connolly, in the aftermath of a horrific attack where 3 young girls lost their lives, put out a very angry tweet from a subjective point of view, and she was jailed for 31 months. This Labour councillor called for direct violence, whilst leading a group of very low IQ, rabid, radicalised left-wing nutjobs over towards protesters that were angry at young British kids being eliminated by foreign nationals. And don't give me this bullshit about he was born here. He shouldn't be here, right? So this guy legitimately does it on camera, in real time. He does the motion and everything and calls for the ending of lives. And we get into the court system and this guy is found not guilty. And of course, there's widespread outrage from anybody with a brain cell, anyone with common sense. And I'm sure that there's lunatics out there that think that this was justice and that Lucy Connolly deserved to be locked up in prison. I don't know what to say to them people. I don't know how to even talk about them anymore. It has been revealed that the judge in the Labour councillor Ricky Jones case is also a diversity and community relations judge, a voluntary outreach role focusing on promoting diversity. Judge Rosa Dean, a complete political stitch-up. He was never going to prison. Of course he wasn't. Of course he wasn't. This is what we're dealing with when it comes to a two-tier justice system. How do you think this is going to end with us, the people that are actually calling this stuff out? It's as plain as day that everything now is a political persecution and comes from a political angle. And there's only one political ideology that's allowed, and that's diversity and multiculturalism and climate change and LGBTQ in our children's schools. And if you don't accept it, you're f***ed. Mainstream outlets even have the audacity to put out headlines like this. The mistreatment of Lucy Connolly in prison is deeply sinister. She says that she's been manhandled, bruised, starved, yet was jailed for a single tweet. We truly are living under Starmer's Stasi Britain. Constantly using analogies from World War II doesn't help anybody, especially with the lack of information that comes from these type of statements, but that's a separate video. That would get banned also. Starved, pushed downstairs, taken away from your family, imprisoned for a tweet, for putting words together on a social media platform. Whilst this Labour councillor is out there on the streets with a megaphone, calling for the lives to be taken with a rabid gang of lunatics behind him, he gets to go free. What do you think that is? This is a question that I'm asking you. I want you to put it down in the comment section because it comes with a second question, a caveat question. And that one is, what do we do from here? Do we play into their hands and get out on the streets and cause havoc? Do we continue to call this stuff out online whilst we're able? As you know, last week I got done for illegal speech, illegal hate speech here in Ireland. My video was banned. Nobody within the confines of the Republic of Ireland was able to watch a video where I just said words. I did not direct hate at anybody. I gave a subjective opinion. And it wasn't even harsh. And that was deemed hate speech by not only YouTube, but obviously an organisation called the DSA, the Digital Service Act of Free Speech, the arbiters. This is 1984 type stuff. They love to use words like we are stopping incitement to hatred. But really what they're doing is stopping political dissidents, people that don't agree with your alignment of the world. And let me tell you something for people that might think that they're alone because their normie neighbor doesn't agree with you, or your brother and sister, or your relations, or your neighbors, or your work colleagues. None of them are on the same page, apparently. They're just frightened. They've undergone the indoctrination and they know not to open their mouth because they will be cancelled, and they are terrified of being called names like a racist. They are terrified of it, but unfortunately there has been an awakening, and it has gone against the grain of what the government tried to push, and people are wide awake now. But the decision has to be made. What do we do going forward from here? Do we tuck tail and run? Because in Ireland and in the UK, people like me that talk out online can go to prison. Is it worth that? Is it worth enduring what poor Lucy Connolly had to endure? What a number of other people who protested and said mean words on the internet that they had to endure? People have lost their lives. People have gone to prison for 7 years for posting stuff on social media. And of course you're going to have a number of people that are just arriving to this fight now, that in the last 12 months have seen the outlandish stuff, and I'll show you some of it in a minute, and I'll show you the fact that it is there to antagonize you, but they're just getting to that place where we were 5 years ago. I was doing this back in 2020. I was online putting my face out there. That was 6 years ago almost. And there's new people that have just come to this recently, and they're roaring and they're screaming about, you want to leave and go live in America? Because that's what I want to do. I want to continue to speak freely, and it seems to be an impossibility now here in Ireland. And I've been called a coward and a traitor, and you're leaving. Why should we listen to you? What have you done? What have you done? How many videos on this topic have you made? How many hundreds of thousands of people have you reached with your opposition to what the government are doing? And as I said, people understand that this is an antagonization tactic. They want you to come out. They want you to be angry. They want to imprison more people because it frightens the normies. They want to introduce digital IDs and face scanning AI and all this sort of craziness. And whilst all that is happening, where's the remigration? Where's the stopping of the boats or the stopping of the H-1B, bring every Indian into the country visas? Where is that? We get teased with right-wing politicians or like someone that's going to push back. We just have to get the Democratic politicians out of there. We got to get Labour out of there. We got to get Reform in there, and the same thing goes for every other country. Garbage. It's absolutely garbage. It's like being in school and every single rule that is put upon you as a student you absolutely hate, and you're hoping that the next principle is going to be better than the last one. They're not. Trust me, they're not. So where do we go and what do we do from here? Do we stop talking? Do we stop protesting? Do we stop making content? Do we keep pushing back and end up in prison? Do we tuck tails and try find some sort of solace in another country that mightn't have harsh hate speech laws the way they do here in the UK and Ireland? What do we do? Let me know down below. I'm serious. I'll run through a couple of little antagonization tactics here that are completely fueled to annoy the indigenous people of these countries. School children as young as 5 write Valentine's Day cards for asylum seekers. School children, the activities in Labour-run Birmingham were coordinated in the school sanctuary network, which included an estimated 1,200 primary schools across the UK. One group of children created a heart-shaped message with slogans such as, "You are welcome here." That headline is terrifying on its own, and they have come out and you see BBC running cover saying this is all misinformation and disinformation. Cool, fair enough. Keep using them bullshit tactics. We know the truth. School children as young as 5 making cards for refugees that are lurking around outside the front gate? You fucking kidding me? What about this one here from a tax-funded nursery in Wales where children, babies, are encouraged to dress modestly because of Islam Day or something like that. And you just see the pictures and you can see there's head garbs, there's big dresses. It's so weird because with this like Sharia law shite, they actually come from some sort of moral high ground where we dress modestly and the women don't show their faces. That's all cool and everything, but have a look at the statistics in terms of sexual assaults in Western countries and who's perpetrating them. So chill out with the moral high ground. So when you send your kids to nursery or when you send them to school, teachers, the principals, the education ministers are facilitating a connection between your babies and your children to refugees and migrants that nobody knows who the fuck they are. Quick, let me get my kids into public school right now. 2 9-year-old children have been arrested at a Norwich protests for alarm and distress, antagonization tactics, and it's there to get more people to come out and be like, you know what? I'll give you antagonization tactics and alarm and distress. That's what they want. They want you to come out and they want you to go hard. It's like, how far are they going to push it? How much are you going to take? It's insane. Reports like this come in hot and heavy, and again, they're extremely alarming. Nobody wants to hear it. We don't want anything got to do with it. European future is vanishing. This is a crazy stat. Brussels is now 52% Muslim school children. Amsterdam is 43%. Vienna is 41%. And London is 37%. Half of Europe's capitals have 30% Muslim pupils. The shift is exploding in classrooms. European identity is collapsing. Yes, and it's a plan. And there's very powerful people with a lot of money and small hats that want this to come to fruition. And they actually have the audacity to put them plans out in public. You can go search them. It's not a big secret. They're just confident enough in the fact that if we keep selling you these ideas of like, go to college, get a mortgage, sip an €18 mocha, then you're not going to notice. That's what's going on there. English mother and her kids evicted to make way for 6 invaders who were previously being housed in a hotel at taxpayers' expense. English families being battered out onto the street to make way for our new neighbours from the hotels. 2 teenagers were sentenced for burning a 76-year-old man alive in his home. One of them got 32 months in prison, the other got 72 months. And let's all remember Lucy Connolly got 31 months for a social media post. What chance do we have in a corrupt justice system with judges who are advocates for diversity and inclusion and multiculturalism? We have a vile media system where only one side of a narrative will ever be told, and that will promote people being locked up for their speech. We have a government system where if we change it, I don't know if there will be change. We've got hate speech laws, 2-tiered justice systems, all this weight coming down on us. And what the elites keep doing is keep ramping up the system, keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. They want more. Digital IDs, climate credit systems where you can only fly out of the country once or twice, and after that you've exceeded your limit and you have to start paying more money. Or you can just take your medicine and not go on holidays. And you get to stay in your old school neighbourhoods that have completely been changed now in terms of demographics. Oh yeah, and on top of that, then you get to buy overpriced food, overpriced drink, and your kids aren't safe to go out playing anymore. I don't know where this is all going to end up. I'm hoping that you'll let me know down below. And if any of it made sense, maybe hit like, subscribe and share. Cheers.